So we did our international management project on Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is a carbonated soft drink produced by the Coca-Cola Company. It was originally known as medicine in 1886 by an Atlanta pharmacist by the name of Dr. John S. Pemberton. The drink's name comes from two of the three ingredients, being cola nuts and coca leaves. And then Coca-Cola became a global network in the 1920s. Robert W. Woodruff, a longtime company leader and CEO, pushed to start bottling operations in countries outside the U.S. It's now a functioning company in over 200 countries and produces close to 450 brands. So this is our SWOT analysis. Some of our strengths would be a large distribution network and large brand awareness. Some weaknesses of Coca-Cola would be possible changes in foreign economies and currency and lack of water supply in some countries. Some of the opportunities would be diversification of products to meet local needs and technological advances making advertising easier. Some of the threats would be healthy alternatives to Coke and the immense competition. So the key stakeholders of Coca-Cola are bottling partners, consumers, customers, communities, employees, government and regulatory authorities, NGOs, the share owners and analysts, the suppliers and trade groups, and industry policy organizations. Some of the main competitors would be PepsiCo. It's usually the second in sales after Coca-Cola. The third is RC Cola, which is owned by the Dr. Pepper Snapple Group. In our host country, we chose Mexico. The big competitor is Cola Real, which is a conglomerate of Big Cola and is growing in competition and sales to Coca-Cola. Worldwide, in South and Central America, Cola Real, as I said. In France, there's Pietra Beer and Mecca Cola. In Peru, there's Inca Cola. Sweden, Julemust. Scotland, Irn-Bru. Germany, Vita Cola. And India, Thumbs Up.
So this is a map of Coca-Cola's international revenue, and it shows all the different countries throughout the world and how many bottling plants they have there. Today, Coca-Cola is one of the most well-known brands in the world. It's always growing and gaining off of the rapidly expanding beverage industry and ranking as the largest beverage company in the world. It now operates in over 200 countries with over 84,000 suppliers. Going international created what's currently about 70% of Coca-Cola revenue that's coming from outside the United States. So our host country that we chose is Mexico because by per capita, they lead the world in Coca-Cola consumptions on average. And in our host country, Mexico, the main competitor is PepsiCo Inc. They also have to compete against local companies such as Danone and AmBev. So this is just the Hofstede dimensions of Mexico. The first one in power distance, at a score of 81, it's a hierarchical society. It means that people accept the hierarchical order in which everyone has a place and needs no further justification. In an organization, this is seen as reflecting inherent inequalities. Centralization is popular. Subordinates expect to be told what to do, and the ideal boss follows aristocratic beliefs. Number 2 is individualism. They have a score of 30, which is considered collectivist. This is a manifest and a close long-term commitment to the member group, like a family, or extended relationships. Loyalty in a collectivist culture is paramount and overrides most other rules and regulations. A collectivist society fosters strong relationships where everyone takes responsibility for fellow members of their group. Collectivist societies' offense leads to shame and loss of face. Employee-employer relationships are perceived in moral terms. And hiring and promotion decisions take account of the employees in-group. Management is the management of groups. Number 3 is masculinity, with a score of 69. and thus a masculine society. In masculine countries, people live in order to work. Managers are expected to be decisive and assertive. The emphasis is on equity, competition, and performance, and conflicts are resolved by fighting them out. The fourth one is the uncertainty avoidance, and Mexico scores with a high score of 82, so they have a high preference for avoiding uncertainty. Countries that follow uncertainty avoidance maintain rigid codes of belief and behavior and are intolerant of unorthodox behavior and ideas. These cultures, there's an emotional need for rules. Time is money. People have an inner urge to be busy and work hard. Precision and punctuality are the norm. Innovation may be resisted. Security is an important element in individual motivation. The fifth one is long-term orientation, and Mexico scores at 24. It's a low score, meaning that the Mexican culture is normative. People in these societies have strong concern with establishing the absolute truth. They're normative in their thinking. They exhibit a great respect for traditions, a relatively small propensity to save for the future, and a focus on achieving quick results. The fifth one's indulgence, where Mexico has a very high score of 97. This means that people in these societies, classified by a high score in indulgence, generally exhibit a willingness to realize their impulses and desires with regard to enjoying life and having fun. They possess a positive attitude and have a tendency towards optimism. In addition, they place higher degree of importance on leisure time as they please and spend money as they wish. So, this is the business environment in Mexico. Mexican business people have a less strict sense of time. As said before, Mexicans place considerable reliance on personal relationships rather than the business contacts we're used to dealing with here in the U.S. Mexican business people prefer to avoid overt disagreements. Their way of saying no is often by saying maybe or I'll get back to you. And Mexicans have a closer concept of personal space, backing away physically from a Mexican business person who's considered unfriendly.
Next, we're going to talk about the political risks and regulatory issues. There aren't a ton of political risks associated with the carbonated soft drinks. The only things that could have an effect on them would be the profitability, that would be possible importation laws and tariffs, and it's also possible for certain countries to ban soft drinks due to a movement towards health issues within the society. Coca-Cola may also have a more difficult time securing ingredients from other countries due to economic trade restrictions. And a lot of the basic technology for Coca-Cola is shared with their competitors, but they don't have a division called External Technology Assessment and Acquisition, or ETA for short. The ETA team is tasked with finding new technologies that could help improve the efficiency of their company as well as the quality of their product. Some other political risks are they're protecting investors, paying taxes, trading across borders, dealing with construction permits, getting electricity, registering property, getting credit, and enforcing contracts and resolving insolvency. So under the protecting investors, the investor protection is still a continuous issue in Mexico, and although the North America Free Trade Agreement has gone a long way in rectifying some of the past issues that existed in the country, the second one is paying taxes. And paying taxes is a laborious process in Mexico, taking some of 337 hours of business time per year. And even though there are only 6 payments to be made, corporate income tax at a rate of 30% takes 155 hours alone to complete. And VAT filing and Social Security contributions take a long time to process. Third is the trading across borders, and there is a substantial cost associated with trading across borders that is far higher than the average in South America and the Caribbean. The cost of importing is around $1,450 per container, and exporting costs are $1,780, and it takes quite a long time to move the containers, 12 days when importing and exporting on average. Fourth is dealing with construction permits, and that takes 69 days and requires 10 procedures and to deal with the construction permits, and around the OECD norm, but far more efficient than the Latin America and Caribbean average. Water and sewage connection takes the most time to complete, and that takes about around a month. Fifth is getting electricity. The World Bank and IFC rank Mexico in 130th place in the world for ease of getting electricity, underlying the complex nature of the procedure. It is a task laden with bureaucracy, and firms must submit applications, obtain certificates, and inspections before a contractor can carry out the work. Sixth is registering the property, and that takes a long time and is an arduous task, taking 74 days in total compared to the 26-day norm in other countries. Dealing with the public registry of property of the federal district can be particularly time-consuming, and obtaining a certificate of good standing with the water service and zoning certificate of the property can also take some time as well. Seventh is getting credit, and Mexico's well-developed financially sector puts it in a good stead in terms of getting credit, although it is still relatively difficult compared to most developed nations in the world. Eighth is enforcing contracts and resolving insolvency. It takes 415 days to enforce a contract, and there are 38 procedures involved in doing so, making it a complex task. Resolving insolvency, on the other hand, is more streamlined, taking 1.8 years compared to 3.1 in the rest of South America and the Caribbean. So here we're going to talk about the CSR efforts through Coca-Cola, and their 2020 environmental goals are water stewardship, energy and climate, packaging, and agriculture. Agriculture is a more sustainable source and the key agriculture ingredient. Second is the climate protection, and their goal is to reduce the carbon footprint of the drink in your hand by 25%. Their third goal is just giving back, and they want to give back at least 1% of the company's operating income every year. And fourth is the human workplace rights, and they want to achieve at least 98% compliance with their suppliers' guiding principles among independent franchise bottling partners, and 95% compliance among other suppliers. Another goal is their packaging and recycling efforts, and they want to work with other partners to receive and recycle bottles and cans, and equivalent to 75% of those that they introduced into the developed markets. And six is the water stewardship, and they want to safely return communities and nature amounts of the water equivalent to what we use in our finished beverages and their production, and to improve the water efficiency in manufacturing operations by 25%. Another idea is the women's economic empowerment, and they want to enable the economic empowerment of 5 million women across the global chain. So this is just some ways that our company cares about the environment. The first is water stewardship, and then they have climate protection, agriculture, and packaging and recycling. So first, with the water consumption, is Coca-Cola projects helping communities gain sustained access to safe drinking water alone, and they're estimated to benefit nearly 3 million people by the end of 2016. Agriculture is Coca-Cola has set a goal to sustainably source their priority ingredients by 2020. The priority ingredients are cane sugar, beet sugar, high fructose corn syrup, stevia tea, coffee, oranges, lemons, grapes, apples, mangoes, paper fiber, palm oil, and soy. Coca-Cola's agriculture supply comes from over 5 million farmers, including support from smallholder sourcing. Another way they care about the environment is through their climate protection. And Coca-Cola has a goal to reduce their carbon footprint by 25% by the year 2020, and they estimate to reduce the CO2 embedded in their drinks by 14%. In 2016, Coca-Cola had 81 operational revenue energy products in 25 different countries, and 2% of the energy efficient improvement within their manufacturing operations. And over the past decade, Coca-Cola has invested over $100 million in order to make their coolers more environmentally efficient.
Coca-Cola cares about its workers and people, and cares about educating and empowering its workers. Coca-Cola aims to enable the economic empowerment of 5 million women entrepreneurs across the company's global value chain by 2020. Labor and human rights. Coca-Cola has a goal to give back at least 1% of the company's operating income annually and achieve at least 98% compliance with our supplier guiding principles among independents, franchises, bottling partners, and 95% compliance among our suppliers. Health and safety. Coca-Cola supports the World Health Organization's recommendations that a person's daily sugar intake should be no more than 10% of their caloric consumption. They are working towards this goal by reducing the amount of sugar in each bottle. The assessment of environmental consequences due to impending projects. Could the project have adverse effects? And examine the results of the assessments and decide whether or not the project should be proceeded as planned. For the strategy formulation, we have a strong brand image, we have financial stability, strong sources of revenue coming from outside of the country, and we also have strong distribution channels as well as heavy promoting activities. Implementation issues. There could be health issues associated with Coca-Cola. Also, product offering is restricted in some areas, so that inhibits the ability to launch new products. And then for threats, PepsiCo is one of the same scale as Coca-Cola, and they have a similar investment as well as advertising strategies that are similar. Pepsi also has a snack product line. For internationalization, we have localized products, acquisitions, marketing on a country-by basis, and then we have advanced technologies as well as standardized in terms of quality. As Coca-Cola is in a competitive market, our strategic recommendations for the firm would be to focus on targeting disciplined branding to ensure customer loyalty and growth.
Should have said these are our work